Greeting, Christians, Sardiv, that is R-I-D-I-F, and this is its spell. We understand that you have many queries for this day, but before diving in to those queries, there are the two things that we wish to express. The first, above and beyond all things that are expressed in this day, to know, to perceive, and to feel that you are loved and our perspective is of the utmost importance. And secondly, it is our greatest excitement, and we feel that same form of great excitement in which we co-create with you, not only from this moment, but in all moments, past and future, in which we have co-created. And of course, you may begin with your queries at your leisure.
Thank you, Arda.
Yes.
What are the top 3 ET guides that I'm working with? If you could give me the name, the race, the planet, and the species, please.
Yes, of course. The first 3 are the ones that are most excited to co-create, but of course there are many others that work with you at equal or higher levels of capacity, but not within the frequency or time span associated. The first is an entity that exists within the Pleiades region. Now, of course, the Pleiadian region being one that is extraordinarily generic term, a blanketed term that works across many different solar systems. This energy specifically borders Alcyon and is a planet that is known as Inoje. And in that race, this entity specifically is a humanoid and avian hybrid being. And this entity goes by the name of Isol. And this entity is co-created with you for quite a long period of your time, from approximately the age of 9. And this entity works majoritively in your sleep state region. Now, of course, second entity is one that exists as an Octurian entity, and of course the Octurian beings that humans understand and know as Octurian entities, being that of blue skin, being that of no hair upon their head, and being that is 6 density within the construct, and they are existing within the planet that is 4th from the star, but hold no name for their planet or species. They simply exist through telepathy and accept the word Octurian for their race and society. The third entity that is co-creating with you, that works mostly with your energy, in fact is an Earth reptilian consciousness, an entity that truly feels connected with your own consciousness, in which both of you share an oversoul, and both of your consciousnesses co-create with dream state and in meditative and intuitive states. And this entity is a masculine being, and most entities express through verbal terms that this entity's name would be Take Not A.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
I would like to know if there are any illegal implants that have been installed in me.
There are not implants that are within your own consciousness, that are not meant to be there or agreed upon being there from parts of the higher fractal consciousness. There is one that you may hold some form of problematic energy, and that is one that was co-created with Pleiadian race that is not associated with the humanoid hybrid avian beings that your guide works with, but from a humanoid Pleiadian race. And this one was within the solar plexus region, and was done so with, of course, the acceptance of the higher self to help push certain levels of resistance out of the center, and created a greater flow of energy to go through that. But this is the only implant that is within your own consciousness at your 4th density level, and that was done so without your understanding and knowledge.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I would like to speak to the medical layer and ask if there's a guide of mine or something that can be done to heal my back pain.
Yes, of course. One moment, we will connect you. Greetings, dear.
Greetings.
We work with your higher self and other guides to connect to your physical well-being. We are a race of beings that are gray, humanoid beings, and we are not the same gray beings that work with humans on hybridization, but we do have extensive knowledge for the human physical form, and have worked with your higher self counterparts and also worked with you directly before. The back pain part of you is a part of your energy that relates to the solar plexus and first chakra energy. Many of your guides worked with that energy, but physically, what is occurring from the pain is that the energy of the discs themselves having pressure upon the nerves are creating that pain, and although stretching and releasing pain from your back in an upside down contraption where your ankles are tied and your head is towards the ground. These are all worthwhile ventures to help relieve some pain, but in order to remove the nerves from in the inner discs, there would require a great deal of body shifting and working those out slowly. And this would take place through either chiropractic practitioners or from physical therapy positioners.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I wish to speak to the human incarnation layer and wanted to know who my daughter Seven is and why did she come here and why did she choose me?
Yes, we will bring back Ari Diff and allow him to bring this in.
Thank you.
Well, back without hesitation or delay again, this is Auditive. I understand your desire to know and connect with a part of your own consciousness that works with the human incarnation. Is this correct?
Yes, I wanted to know who my daughter Seven is, if we have past lives together, and why did she come here and why did she choose me?
Yes, of course. First of all, we are already connected to the parts of your higher self that share the information, and within your own higher fractal consciousness does not come through Rob directly, so we will share what this part of your consciousness is sharing as well. This entity is a soul that has worked with you through multitudes of incarnations, not only the human incarnations, but incarnations previous to being human, incarnations that are in your probable future reality. And because you are within a soul family, a group of oversouls that are 7 in number, then of course the co-creation between yourself and the group of souls that you travel with regularly work quite well. Now, of course, the incarnations that are so numerous are part of that co-creation, and we can share these specifically if you desire. But more importantly to yourself, why did this entity come to you? Of course, this entity came to you for both of you, to learn the lessons from one another in simple co-creation, in being around one another, having an entity that is the parent that would nurture the co-creation of the consciousness of this entity, knowing that it is quite expansive comparative in the normal human vibrational frequency, knowing that the higher fractal conscious co-creation to the child is much stronger than that even of those that are in similar age and vibrational frequencies, knowing that in your own openness and your own heart-centeredness, that it would be the ultimate opening for this entity. Now, of course, that is from her own soul perspective, but from your soul perspective, the reason that you desired for this entity to come into your presence is first, of course, the process of allowing that life into the earth co-created with safety and protection, of course, but also the expression of opening the consciousness inside of yourself by simply going through the experiences that you are co-creating.
Wow, thank you.
Yes, of course.
What about my German Oma, Gretel Senf? Where is she reincarnated at now?
We did not hear the words that previously expressed.
My German grandmother, Gretel Senf is her name. Where is she incarnated now?
Yes, of course, this entity is incarnated in a region of the earth that is Eastern Asian in nature, specifically in the southwestern portion of the island of Japan.
How old is she now?
Yes, surprisingly to your own construct, still at an extraordinarily young age, that is 1.15 years.
Wow. Okay. How can I free myself of money problems?
Yes, of course, this vibration is an energy that, of course, all humans work with and mostly come from energies that work around beliefs and the energies that work around traumas. And of course, these are no easy feats, and that is why most humans hold that sensation and feeling of not having the level of abundance directed towards them that they would desire. So, of course, we have always suggested for humans to utilize the 10-step belief system process. This will not only help you filter through the belief systems that you find that are not resonant with you, or belief systems that you are unknowingly holding that are strongly resistant towards opening that energy, but it will also help allow you to change the reflexivity of your mind, your psychology, as it were, to shift in to a greater form of less resistant energy in that direction, and in that co-creation build an entirely new network of energy, starting with the most simple beliefs that humans hold about financial energy. You must work hard to receive. You must work diligently to become rich. You must give something that all humans desire to have in order for more humans to pay to do so. All of these beliefs hold extraordinarily limited forms. Simply working for money is the greatest form of that belief system. But after we are disconnected, Rob will show you where to find the 10-step belief system process and simply integrate that into your daily routine. And it will help open these beliefs one by one, showing you that new way to reroute the mindset.
Do you see that that's getting better? Because I can tell, like, it's already, I've been doing a lot of work on it myself, and I'm aware of the 10-step process. Do you see that that's getting better in my field?
Yes, of course, in the comparison of 1.5 and 2 years ago, great deal of resistance has been released, and within the last 4-month time period of your energy, it has released exponentially faster than even that 1.5 year previous.
Yes, I've noticed that. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
When will I meet my life partner?
Yes, there are many probabilities in where this can occur, and most of this is pendant upon your own energy in the moments where those co-creations can be collected. For example, where your passions are held, where your excitements are held, the energy that is based in your spirituality. This is where a great deal of those doors will open. This is a great deal of where those soulmates that are so numerous in your experience that have not found a way to connect with your own energy, or vice versa. In those moments, the energy will bring the opportunity to co-create that. Now we see a very strong probability that exists 1.6 years in this time forward, where meeting an entity as you are engaging in your spiritual practice has a very high opening. We see another probability that is higher than many probabilities, but lower than that which we have shared, exist within 4.5 months of your time, and there are some that are ranging within days, although they are extraordinarily low in probability, while others that are higher in probability are past your 1.6 year mark as well. So it is simply the act of being observant inside of yourself when your excitement is at its highest peak. Now we understand one of the components that creates resistances and confusion within yourself as you are approaching this energy is that when your excitement level is spiked with your spiritual journey and expansion, you often don't think about partner or co-creating or pay attention to other entities in a way that would be open in that construct, because you are simply experiencing that joy and bliss. But if you remind and train your own self to start working with that consciousness as you are in that peak level of excitement, you'll start noticing many soulmates that have not been noticed previous, and of course, all of those that have come before and previous in your experience were co-creating with you at the level of energy in your own readiness. Some of that which you felt mentally and emotionally highly available and ready, but in the consciousness of that energy it was not ready. Your own internal construct of emotions and mental body was not ready. But you've done a great deal of that work as well, and it opens clearly. And that is why the strongest portal lies within that 1.4 to 1.6 year period, because by then a great deal of the other trauma of not having a partner or having the wrong partners will have been worked out nearly completely.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I saw a UFO with my daughter 7, and she was being taken many nights when we lived in Utah. Can you tell me who this was and what the purpose of this was?
Yes, of course. The entities that were co-creating with her in those times were entities that were grey human hybrids. Now, of course, they are not working with her in hybridization, but do look at her genetics closely, as this entity holds a special form of genetics and a special form of DNA activation that some other humans are not frequently working with, and in fact, with both of those in pair, it becomes even more unique, where less than 0.5% of humans hold this form of genome, and because the energy of her spiritual constructs and internally the third eye and crown chakra are more open, she becomes the most enticing portion of an example of that energy. And because they are family in certain ways, feeling very deeply connected with him and with yourself and with her upon soul level, then of course that makes it all the more easy to co-create with her multitudes of times.
So this wasn't done like on a malevolent, they were just checking her out and seeing what was going on, or was it the beings that were involved with her?
Yes, of course, it was not from malevolence, nor was it taking genetics. It was only the study of genetics and how those genetics manifest in to her personality and the flow of her energy internally.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I've had this feeling for a long time that her father is not her father. I feel like I might have been implanted. Can you tell me if this is true or not?
Yes, now in that construct genetically, her father was her father in that way. But during pregnancy of yourself, there were aspects of those genetics that were slightly tweaked, and part of the DNA that was activated through your own open portal of consciousness as well as hers. And this is why it feels different for you, because it was a shift of genetics and shift of DNA, but not the case that omits or removes that which was the father's completely.
I see. When do you see her father coming into her life to be involved at all, or no?
Yes, at this moment there are probabilities of that existing, but border at the low end of those probabilities, near 30%, and at the heightened of those, 65%, but at level where that 65% is. She is much older, and the father becomes much more mature and integrated in to understanding that energy of what it meant to hold separate form of energy consciousness with his own child.
I would like to inquire no more about her specific genome that you were talking about. What does that entail?
Yes, each human holds multidimensionality within their own DNA structure, and the multidimensionality comes from the genomes that are within the races of beings that created their own co-creative genetic form with human beings, and activation portion of that energy within the Pleiadian spectrum is the first change of the genome. That is the activated cells that we have shared and activated portions of DNA that are part of that entire structure. But the genome that was activated is one that is actually within your own family tree. This is a genome that helps open the pathways of the psychic networking and helps open that energy, but from your co-creation with, birthing her, that gene mutated into a higher form of opening, and that is where that genetic form took hold, but amplified.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
What are the probabilities of what she will do in her life? What she will be?
Yes, of course. The three highest forms of those energies are magnitudes of different. One of them works with a form of healing in both energetic and physical modalities, a co-creation between the two, holding near qualifications to be a doctor, but utilizing only the science from that energy that would express healing properties and not that which is more westernized versions of that energy. The second energy that is highest in probability is to work with children as she becomes older into adulthood, into the late 20s and early 30s, start working with younger children and teenagers, teaching them about their own consciousness, teaching them about opening their psychic networking, and simply teaching them to be good human beings and open human beings and utilize their energy as greatly as possible. The third, in the probability of that energy, that is the lowest of probabilities but still higher than all of the others, is a co-creation in forms of music and creating both modalities of healing and teaching within that music as well.
Wow. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I wanted to inquire, have I had a past life with my business partner, Tony Piazza? And if so, what was it?
Yes, of course. There were 3 incarnations previous to your own self that we are able to perceive in the human realm and in the earth realm. Now, of course, we can share with you in great detail all 3 of these if you desire, or we can give you a shorter description and, as you desire, express more from that energy.
Yeah, just a short description would be great. Thank you.
Yes, of course. In 3 incarnations, one of them, you were family in that way, where you are brother and sister, you being the brother and him being the sister, and both of you existed in the area that is now called Romania, in the time period that was the late 1500s. Both of you worked hard in larger city that existed there as traders, and as you traded with visitors to your town and would work towards finding goods outside of your normalcy in order to import and sell to others, then of course you would travel around, not only in Romania, but outside of the regions, hundreds of miles in each direction. Now, the second incarnation, both of you existed in the island that is now known as Hawaii, and both of you existed at the time period of approximately 1270 AD. And in this incarnation, both of you are indigenous medicinal people, and both of you worked within that construct as friends and co-workers for the healing constructs of village and neighbouring islands within their own villages. And of course, both of you worked very deeply with one another and grew your spirituality out together. Now, of course, one incarnation, in that way, one of you was the parent, and this entity was himself as you were his child, and this energy was not one that was extraordinarily happy incarnation, because of the violence that occurred in that region of the world that is now known as northeastern China. And of course, the wars that went on created hardships between yourselves because the stressful parent becomes stressful to the child under duress and stress, and abuse did happen within that lifetime that was very hard for you to reconcile until many incarnations later.
Wow, thank you.
Yes, of course.
Am I part of a hybridization program myself?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Are we in the end times of Earth, or is that just something that's being pulled to us, the pole shift to instill fear?
Yes, of course. Now the Earth holds very many probabilities of great changes and shifts physically, but the Earth collective consciousness already perceives those shifts occurring. Now, the Earth itself is of consciousness itself. The Earth is the amalgamation of all entities that have ever existed upon it and that will until the end of Earth's existence. But the probability of Earth end of existence is extraordinarily low. Now, as for human existence, of course, there are many pathways for the human collective to remove their consciousness from the earth. There's more likely a level of event that would lower the population drastically, that is within the future of humans in the next 2,000 years, than that would remove them from their incarnation. But of course, this energy is being overly focused upon by your human collective for two reasons. One, to spread fear and to create panic within the Earth collective. And secondly, for the construct of knowing and seeing so high level of imbalance within the Earth collective that it starts manifesting into these very weird experiences for humans, perceiving things that were never perceived previously, understanding things that were not understood previous, and part of that is the earth axis shift, and part of that is the core and center of the earth reversing this rotation, and of course many of the various other energies that will come to be seen. But the likelihood of all humans working in sync with one another to manifest a disaster in creation that is so large it eliminates humans would not be seen for thousands of years, and only in the version of Earth where humans do not desire to be co-creating a peaceful society with one another. And most intents and portions, human beings are driving further away from that reality at this time than ever before.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Yes, of course.
I have a question about my father. Is he going to get better, and why am I not able to heal him?
Yes, of course. Now this entity holds the probability to be better, but it is a lower probability. This entity that is your father in this incarnation is a soul that requires its own experience, and we understand this to be extraordinarily difficult for most humans to either fathom or accept when they are going through that experience. But as it stands in this moment, there is lower than 30% probability for him to become miraculously better quickly. There are probabilities for it to be longer term, but of course there are still over 66% probability for him not to become better, to simply end out of the existence of his own reality within the next years. Now, of course, this energy is still not fully decided by himself as a soul, which opens the probability for those to occur. And as a soul holds a strong contractual form of energy, it does not mean they must complete that contract, but it does require other entities who would try to assist in manifesting something outside of that contractual form of energy to not have success within that co-creation.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Why am I not able to work on people that have metal in their body? Is it something having to do with the way I do energy work?
Yes, the utilization of your own energy work borrows heavily in the electromagnetic spectrum that binds ether to the electromagnetic energy that is given from the Earth grid system and from the Earth itself. And when coming through your own body, working with that ether form or etheric forms of consciousness and utilizing that electromagnetic tie and binding, then of course the metallic structure in the human body does not relate well to that energy. In fact, it can create a better electromagnetic form if the metallic structures were created in patterns of the body that were both symmetrical and that were within certain chakra point areas. But most humans are not in symmetrical patterns, nor do they have them in the proper places, as they are utilized mostly in the limbs and the back.
Is there any way to kind of bypass this to reprogram the metal?
Yes, now there are ways to work around that energy for you, but it will be much higher level of energetic give that you must give to this person. When you are working with the energy in the way that you do, you are still grounded to earth, and you are giving anywhere from 10 to 20 to 23% of your own energy to that person, but the majority of that energy is either from the ether of the earth itself or the ground of earth itself. In order to work around that metallic structure, you must first set in, for lack of better terms, energy anchors around those areas and visualize as you are working within the electromagnetic energy arcing from one of the points to the next, one of the anchors to the next, going over or around the metal. You can even set an entire anchor that is circular in nature and hollowed out within, so that the entire anchor can arc over as a full arc itself. Now, of course, this would produce as high a level of 30 to 40% of your own energy starting to become invested, because that energy level will require more focus, intention, visualization, etc.
Does that have any negative consequences on my lifespan or anything, utilizing more of my energy?
Depending upon your own consciousness and how you interact with it, not as far as the lifespan, unless the overstimulation of the mental body became taxing, which created a negative mindset, and of course negative beliefs, and of course spiraling downward, and then it can take away from longevity, but it can also more easily disturb the energies in yourself when fighting off illnesses, or finding imbalances in your energy can be boosted to be higher felt and higher experienced as well.
Is are the beings that who have been teaching me how to do this healing work, are they one of the three guides that you mentioned?
The beings that are teaching you work together as a collective consciousness, and two of the entities that are the closest guides to you are part of that collective. And of course, this is the Octarian entity and the Pleiadian entity, although the humanoid Earth reptilian being that works with you does work with you. It does not take part of that collective, as there are beings that are within that collective that do not resonate with the reptilian forms of energies. So many of the reptilian forms of beings that you work with you either individually or collectively as a separate form of energy.
Is this male reptilian, is where is he from, and why would the other beings not want to work with him if he's benevolent?
Yes, of course, this entity is from Earth. This entity is one of those that are known as the Earth Reptilian, and in the area in which their own pod that exists and lives is within the area that is known as Lithuania in your time. But this entity is a part of a greater pod, and the reason why other entities do not wish to work with some Earth reptilians is that, although they may be benevolent towards yourself, they are still very much like humans. They hold a spectrum of that energy that can be extraordinarily positive and extraordinarily negative. Now, of course, this same entity, if in its work were protecting a member of its own pod or even your energy, would create violence against another being. And this is not perceived as highly benevolent by these other beings. And this is why they would not work with that entity, as well as other members in his own pod are extraordinarily malevolent in nature.
Where is this being from in his previous incarnations?
Yes, for the most part, incarnating as an Earth reptilian was quite important for this entity, but because of your oversoul's existence, the Earth incarnation as humans, as numerous as yours, are available to this entity. It has not focused upon those incarnations until they have gone through all of the reptilian forms of incarnations, just as your own consciousness has focused upon the human incarnations, and have not yet changed your experience to continuing your larger incarnation cycle and starting the Earth reptilian portion of yours as well.
What does he want with me? Like, what does he specifically do with me? Why did he choose me?
Yes, this entity is connected with your own consciousness because, as an oversoul, two souls that can hold vibration frequency similarities will notice one another, but also the incarnations that have had in other incarnations as human did in fact work as a counterpart with other incarnations of his as Earth reptilian consciousness. So you have shared history, you have a shared oversoul, and you have shared co-creation of energetic similarities between the two of you. So for their own highly psychic nature, they are simply able to pick up upon all counterparts that hold a vibrational level of frequency that is so near to theirs. Now, of course, many of the Earth reptilians do not care for humans and despise humans, but he holds an openness for humans and co-creation, and a sense of love and support to those humans who he sees or perceives as worthy.
Wow. Okay. Is there something that he could help me with to teach me how to channel better? Because I get blocked. I get in my own way a lot of the time, where I can feel myself trying to connect, and then my head starts filling in the blanks.
Yes, of course, there is a technique that these entities share with. As part of the pod, it is not only his own energy, but several of the counterparts within his pod are sharing one technique to share with you at this moment. And this technique is simple form of breathing technique that recenters the body by starting with open mouth widely and breathing in and out from your mouth quickly. And doing so for several minutes, as much as you can bring in and as much as you can go out, until you start feeling a bit dizzy. Once you start feeling a bit dizzy, then visualize your own third eye internally and create a sphere of green energy that expands past your head, past your shoulders, until it encompasses your entire body. Once you feel that energy and are breathing normally, then of course you can recontract that sphere back into your third eye. And of course, this energy in the technique will help recenter the parts of energy that are destructive in nature will oxygenize the body deeply and the blood cells within you, so that mental focus also will be sharper, and the energy of the visualization of third eye allows you to tap deeply into that one place that opens the pathways more quickly.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Is it possible for me to have ET contact in the astral to help to practice this more?
Yes, of course. In what way do you desire to co-create in that astral? Is it one of meditation or one of the dream state? As, of course, the dream state is easier, but meditation can be done as well.
No, meditation.
Yes, as a meditative state, of course, it is possible, although it is easier to work with that of the dream state. The energy for that is available to you, yes.
Okay. What is coming up in the future that I need to pay attention to? And also, if you see anything that's challenging for me.
Yes, of course. Now, the probability of that of finding your partner is important, and we have shared with you what you can do to help allow more of that energy in. The second thing that we can share with you is that in the next 1.75 to 2.25 years, there will be experiences that will feel as hardships are popping up and down, being very imbalanced with that energy of how they present themselves in your experience. Some of these are around those subjects that are already experienced as difficult. Part of the reason why that experience will occur is because you do perceive those subjects as hard to deal with and as difficult subjects. But of course, that imbalance will slow down drastically as you continue working with your energy as you have, as already mentally, emotionally, and energetically working with those patterns of your mental responsivity and your own psychology, and working with the belief systems that are hidden. All of these things will start clearing out, and it will not be that those things will not exist at all, because as a human you will go through many forms of adversity in which you can overcome. It will simply be the way that you feel about those energies, and the way that you deal with them will become easier. So continue doing as you are, focusing upon those things that are most greatly exciting, and of course that helps clear a great deal of that energy.
So you don't see any illness in my in the near future or anything like that?
Within your next 1 year of time, we do not perceive anything outside of your natural form of experience, where there may be problematics of higher and lower levels of your back pain, or higher or lower levels of feeling tired, or overstimulated at some times. But yes, nothing outside of this is within most any of your probabilities.
Okay. Do you see my abilities working with plant medicines? Like, is that really going to take off for me in the next year? I mean, it already has, but is it going to get really big?
Yes, that energy holds a great deal of opportunity for both self-learning, self-expansion, but financially, yes.
Okay. Is this the energy of the male energy? Is this why when some people go into medicine with me, they say I turn into an earth, like literally an earth reptilian? Is that his energy coming through?
Yes, of course, this energy becomes most potent at that pathway, yes.
Okay. And then was I assigned different ET beings from birth, or is it the same three guides that I've been working with?
They are all not assigned in the way that you may see them. There are three entities that work with you, that are human in nature, that are working internally with your systems but are not perceived in that way, in the co-creation and form of that energy. shifts through their own identity, as it were, but your other guides that work with you are numerous in amount and also shift from moment to moment. There are many guides that have been with you from the time of your birth and only work with you very rare occasion. Others that have been there with your childhood and work with you frequently, and others who only come in one time to co-create with you at a moment in which it is most important and do not come back. So it is quite extensively shifting and changing from time to time, yet there remains a unity and a permanency in some.
The UFO experience that my daughter and I had when we were moving from Utah to Texas, were we abducted then? And if so, by whom?
There was an energetic shift of your time, as it were, but it was not physical abduction, it was more so of a meeting, and of course that meeting is not expressed through the mental body of either of you, because of their own technology to remove the form of human memory and change the time perspective of that entity. In that experience, it was simply the entities that were from the hybrid program simply expressing hello to both of you, knowing that you are shifting land masses, knowing that you are moving from one region to another, and desiring for you to have the capacity to work with him continuously and work with him more directly.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
For the last 10 minutes or so, I would like to bring forth if we could bring forth the reptilian guide of mine.
Yes, this entity would not step forward directly because this entity does not care to work through Rob's physical body and more so desires direct connection with your own.
Okay. So he's willing to do that with me.
Yes, of course.
Okay. What about my other Arcturian guide? Would she come forward?
Yes, of course. One moment. Greetings, sweet soul.
It's so wonderful to speak to you. I have wanted to do this for a long time and not really trusted myself, as you know. I get in my own way.
I know, sweet soul. It is very exciting for us to speak with one another this way, but there have been more trust towards yourself than you should have, because many of the times when you hear us, you're hearing correctly. Many of the times when you're feeling us, you feel correctly. But I know that being human is full of doubts and self-questioning and wondering, and this is something that I always want to work with you more with and share insight with you about.
Were you there when I was born? Are you the blue being that I remember seeing?
Yes, the being born moment, but because I'm not bound by the same time frame that you have, it easy for me to go back and visit some part of our life together, or some part of a life before you were born. So yes, it was my energy and being that you saw.
Are you also, were you with me when I was 4, when I had the vision out on the lawn and I was taken out of my window? Was that you?
That was not me, but I was with you for that experience also, in support.
Wow. Why have you guys just recently started showing me this healing stuff? Is it because of what my daughter 7 is doing? Is that?
Some of that, but also because you moved more trauma now than you've ever been able to have as a human. It is so difficult for the healing energies to be worked with when you're holding things that still need to be healed. And now you've purged so much of this sweet soul that it's been possible now.
Well, I just want to thank you because I know you guys have really worked a lot with me and taught me this modality. Is there anyone on Earth that's currently doing this? Did I understand that correctly? The way that I'm doing the avatar healing?
No, not the same way. There are some beings who have learned some of the Arcturian energy, but even mixing with some Pleiadian energy, they're still not doing the same modalities.
Have I been able to see you in the DMT space? Are you the energy that was writing out the words for me?
No, this was not me, but you have been able to see the energy field when you were able to see the field of the entire sky cracking. This was part of my energy, and it was just the bending of the third eye.
Oh wow. So that was one of the last times that I've seen you. Have I been able to see you before that? That I remember.
Yes, but within the DMT space, this was the main time that you were able to see me, and part of it is that I don't want to go too far into that space with you because there are so many more to meet, and we have already made so much connection and communication. I want you to have the opportunity to not interfere with your experiences there, but I know that you welcome me there, and this makes my own happiness occur.
Is that is it safe to say that the discovery of DMT that my friend Danny is doing is going to change things for humanity? That DMT is used for to be able to contact higher dimensional beings.
Yes, this is accurate to say that it does connect humans with higher dimensional beings and higher dimensional parts of their self, and also higher dimensions. But it will be done on a subtle level where the beings who are using the DMT will be able to open their consciousness and be freer and better and more connected. And this will be a rippling effect. It will be many things that help humans working, but this will be a large part of it, yes.
When you talk about what I was seeing in the sky, when you appeared to me, was it in the DMT space where I was drawing the as above, so below? Is that the experience you're talking about?
Yes, where you perceive the sky as cracked, yes.
Yes. Wow. Was I correct in that drawing what I had drawn about the dimensions being above us, being able to see into the dimensions above us? Was that correct, or was I incorrect on that assumption?
That is correct. This is the portal path for the perception oriented in human capacity, in the psychic level, and in the DMT space level, or in other medicinal uses. Yes.
Am I correct in the assumption that DMT is decalcifying the pineal gland at a more rapid rate?
Yes, it works to help rid the pineal gland of many toxins, yes.
Are there any dangers to me in this space that I need to be aware of?
The only danger is the health of your physical body, or safety of the physical body when taking it, because there are possibilities for falling or not being able to respond. But as long as you continue having trusted friends that are around you, there's is no more danger.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. And thank you again for everything that you guys have done for me in from 7.
Thank you, sweet soul, for being open to experiencing with us, because we find the joy just as much as you find in our experiences together. And we love you dearly.
I love you too. I love you
Mm.
too. Will I be able to channel you at some point?
Yes, that's the anticipated plan.
Okay, great. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes. Mm,
Well,
we can bring our Ardif back because we understand that the time is becoming closer.
that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, dear.
We are back without hesitation or delay to begin this exaltative. As you are aware, the time of this day has come to its end, but before disconnecting, we wish to express not only that we co-create with humans upon a regular basis, and that co-creation helps us expand in our own perspective, but working with your own energy as we see it in this moment is an energy component of yours that we had never previously perceived before this very moment. That means we are seeing parts of our own energy that we have never perceived before this moment as well. That means you are growing, and we grow with you as well. We congratulate you for the growth that you have, and we thank you for the growth that you have co-created with us as well.
Thank you so much, Ardif. This has been really profound and beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, of course, it is truly our greatest excitement as well. We will bid you adieu for this day, and of course, to know that you are loved.
Thank you.
Yes, adieu.
All right, how'd it go?
Oh my God. That